I'm so excited to chat with you about Fast Charlie. It's funny, it's intense, it's a great thrill ride through and through. I think there's a little bit of everything in the film. Was there something about Marcy, um, or about the director that truly made you want to be a part of this movie?
Absolutely,
Maybe
everything
it was
about it.
Pierce.
I mean, how could it not be Pierce? Obvious a combination, great script, really well adapted, amazing rapport in the characters. Pierce Brosnan, I mean, I don't even like that in itself is enough. And then you add Philip Noyce to it all. Such an incredible director. I've been such a huge fan of his since Rabbit Proof Fence. So yeah, it was an amazing package, and then on top of it all, a fantastic character to get to dissect and build.
I know this is based on a book. How different is Marcy from the page is she from being on camera?
I mentioned I didn't finish the book because the characters were quite different. I mean, the elements of who she is are the same, but the story of the book is obviously richer and deeper for Marcy because she's as much of a component in the film as he in the book as he is in the film. We're telling more of a story from Charlie's perspective. But I love Richard Wank really preserved her the things that make her broken, her vulnerability that are buried really deep inside and that she's just trying to move on from, and her inability to sort of escape this troubled ex and past and these past life choices that she's made that hasn't been the best for her. And then, this sort of fierce fire and need to protect herself and move on, and all of those things are at war with each other. And at first you think that these two characters are going to be opposing, and then as the film goes on, you start to realize, and they start to realize, that they are much more um, connected, and they realize, and they really do um, make up kind of the flip side of the same coin, if that makes sense.
I like I like your character's look. I have to ask about Marcy's tattoo. Was that always a part of her as well?
Yeah, that was something pretty early on that Philip and I discussed. We were looking at taxidermists, and I looked at a bunch of their websites, and a lot of the women were very tatted up. And I thought that was really interesting. And then as I started to sort of break down what taxidermy actually was, and I observed a woman on Zoom working on a bird, there's so much artistry that goes into it that I think it also reflects, the tattoos were a version of that in some ways. And then I floated the idea by Philip. I was like, I really think it would also help me look a little rougher around the edges, and not so pristine. And he really liked that idea. I didn't want to look um finished in a way, like a work in progress. And like there was a lot of history there, and the tattoos are a part of that history. So it helped build the character quite a bit. We also went for a very sort of low makeup, natural look with just eyeliner on, essentially, because I think she's the kind of person that is caught up in her head and her work and doesn't take her makeup off. Like she's not worried about beauty things. And then dark clothing felt really right for how she was feeling, and the kind of like I think she's somebody who even out in the world kind of doesn't want to be seen right now, and really wants to be alone and be with herself. She lives on a house on a stilt in the edge of the world.
Well, I love the scene where you and Pierce are in the car together, and you said you're in over your head, Charlie, and I found that, on so many levels to be true. He's missing he's missing a head, and he's in with this crime boss um as well. And there's so many, I think, humorous moments that lighten this movie as well. What were some of your favorite scenes to film? Maybe that were those lighter moments, or maybe they challenged you as an actress.
Yeah, I loved a lot of it. We had a great time shooting the scene, the woodcock scene where, the bird goes in the guy's eye, and then also like the scene where I'm like ranting about like I'm coming with you no matter what, I'm not freaking staying behind here to get killed. And like while I'm talking, I'm wrapping up a guy in plastic. You know, it's like so absurd. And who knew that being a taxidermist will lend itself to the life of crime and knowing how to clean up bodies, you know? So it was also really fun to lean into the comedy of that. And I also really love the scenes. I like the rapport, you know, especially in the beginning between Marcy and Charlie and meeting for the first time, but also just being in the car together. You know, there's something that happens when you're sitting with somebody in silence on the road. There's something that happens with two people sitting in a car on the road, you know, not looking at each other. You have this sort of freedom to be more vulnerable because you're not looking face to face. And I love those moments, and the scenes that come out of that, I think are really very real, and still in a very deep way.
Well, I have to ask, I'd be remiss if I didn't. What was it like for you working with Pierce Brosnan?
Yeah. I know, he's so amazing. He's, you know, he has such a rich and robust body of work. It's hard to not meet him and be in awe and shy and starstruck. But he was so kind and welcoming, and he and empathetic. You know, like what it would be like to be a young actor coming onto a set, you know, sort of last minute, and the anxieties that come with that. And I remember speaking to him about just nerves in general, and he still feels them, and he's still, you know, excited and scared about a new job. And it was just so lovely to connect with him. He's such an amazing person and such an amazing actor, and so diligent, you know, really works incredibly hard. I would imagine at 70 that you're like, I know what I'm doing, I'm good, but he's still discovering, still looking at a script and his pages, and thinking about his character in depth. And it was such a revelatory moment to remember, you know, we all have our insecurities, our things that we're scared of. And it was really lovely. I loved every aspect of working with him.
Well, I felt Marcy was kind of his Bond girl in this. She was his gal pal Friday, yo. Um, I would have been making some jokes on set, but that's just me.
Yes, he was you know, it was very fun to be a sidekick.
What do you think it is about Fast Charlie that's just gonna make it a thrill ride through and through?
I think it's funny, it's energetic, it's action driven. I think you care about the characters because you get a little window into their soul. You root for them, and it's an entertaining film that is also very emotionally moving.
What's next for you, Marina? Maybe a cameo in Deadpool?
There we go. I'm in the film. I am at liberty to say that, and I'm very excited for people to see it. I think it's going to be a good third film. It's hard to reinvent the franchise, but they're doing quite a good job
Well, I think Ryan knows what he's doing at this point.
at this point. I think it's been proven.
What would you like to say then, everyone who are fans and supporters of the incredible work you do on our screen, whether it's television or film? You just bring it every chance you get.
Oh, thank you very much. I am forever grateful for people watching. I want to continue to entertain and tell stories that I connect with, that I hope people will connect with as well. And just really grateful for all the support. There's a lot out there. So I'm thrilled when anybody has seen anything I've done.